We are waking up with some ginseng. We are waking up. We are waking up with some ginseng tea. We are waking up with some ginseng tea, 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 These days, taking a long shower, Dan. Yes. Becca, sleeping in until now, self-care. And of course, mandolin in the morning. I mean, who wouldn't want? That could be a thing. I could take my mandolin around town and like wake up morning calls under the window, wearing a striped shirt and a land gondola. A landola? Awesome. Yeah. What's going on here? What's going on here is you are tuning in to Cup of Joe, episode number 5. Welcome, as always, every Saturday. We're already past the 1 month mark. So cheers to that. This is Cup of Joe, where we change double the diapers every week, every day, every few hours. My name is Joe Kye. I'm an immigrant, a storyteller, and musician, here with you to explore, to be curious, to be silly, and to also nurture this space within ourselves. Moment of gratitude every week, this week, for everyone practicing self-care. There is a lot that needs to be fixed out in the world, but I think it can feel oppressive and difficult and frustrating and confusing, especially if we haven't worked on that space within. So all of you that are practicing self-care with the intention of empowering yourself to be able to do more in the world, I'm thankful for you. Today's theme is wellness, and we have our guest, Martha Grover. Let's say hi. Hi, Martha.
Hi, thanks for having me.
Yeah, it's going to be great. It's going to be great. We're going back to home. Martha will be back. And her screen was, something happened to the screen. I'll have to fix that when the time comes. Please support this program at Venmo or PayPal. You can see the links down here. And the comment is also pinned on the stream comments. As always, please chime in. Anything that you're thinking, anything that, if you're thinking about self-care or your favorite self-care activity, share in the comments. If you're like, why does he have this weird sock puppet sitting on this chair? And that's a question that is burning a hole in your brain. Please post it in the comments, and I will try to answer them. Wellness, that's the topic, that's the theme for today. let's see, about 2 years ago, my story about wellness is about 2 years ago, I was beginning to feel very stuck in my relationships with loved ones, with my sister, my wonderful sister, my partner, my parents. I felt stuck creatively. I felt like I was just in a rut. I had a lot of fears and insecurities that I wasn't making the song or creating the thing that I should be. And overall, I just felt like I was stuck being a version of me that felt stifling and stale. And so I went to therapy, and it was mind blowing. About a year and a half later of awesome therapy, just talking through a lot of these things, learning to zoom out from these different struggles, and then to evolve, make the choices of what I want to change about myself, how I want to make sure I affirm myself, but also recognize the validity of the viewpoints of my loved ones. It was really amazing. So for all of you who are wondering about therapy, I would highly recommend it. There are many different price points as well. If you have questions about affordable therapists, like I don't have necessarily the hookup, but I'm down to do that research with you. So yeah, hit me up. Okay, let's do an improv. So speaking of wellness, creativity is one of the best ways that I know for me to feel better about life, about myself, and my place in it. And so I write poetry. Don't tell anyone. I write poetry, and I'm gonna share one of these poems with you. And I won't use that silly voice, which betrays perhaps my insecurity in said poetry. I'm gonna read the poem and then launch into an improvisation based on that poem. Today you send emissaries, a smile rooted in plump shiitakes. A couple greeting cards returned. We've seen you play. Shades lowered, you lean out, a friendly honk, concern for my well-being, a reminder I am not alone. Is a poem a song? Who hasn't found their music yet? A bit of therapy for me in the meantime. Mariachi mandolin, a nice soothing band on a Saturday morning. Yeah. All right. That's where we are today. All right. Cool. Okay. Kids Corner. Sorry, that just felt very good for me to explore. I think as the father of twins with a limited amount of creative time, it's hard to. I was just talking with Martha about creating space for yourself, and I feel like there's very little of that. The ability to kind of create absolute no limits, just go type of place. So thank you for indulging me, dear viewers. Kids Corner. All right, we're going to change the energy here. Okay, come on, Joe. Okay, Kids Corner. So today we're talking about funny voices, how to make funny voices. I've been reading a lot of books to my 13-month-old twins, and so I've been practicing some voices and trying to do different things and seeing, how I can do voices that are interesting and funny and perhaps in keeping with the character who I'm trying to portray. So there are 5 different things that you should be thinking about when you're trying to make voices. So this goes for parents, of course, and for kids, as well as for people who aren't either of those. Number 1 is pitch. So how high you speak, or how low you speak. Obviously, that makes a very big difference. Volume is another thing. You can speak very quietly, or you can speak really loud. And both of these also change the different dynamics of the voice. Third is air. How much air you're putting into the voice or not putting into the voice. So if I start to squeeze my throat and only let a little bit of air come out, that's very different from if I'm just letting the air from my lungs expel from my mouth at a very, etc. There's also mouth. This I like to kind of combine with expression. So if I put on a smile and start to speak, it sounds very different from if I'm frowning and trying to speak at the same time. Or if I just choose to have a very big and tall mouth, speaking like this is a different voice as well. And then last but not least, my favorite perhaps is vibration space. So what do I mean by vibration space? So for all the, just say however you're comfortable. Very nice, very nice. When you do that this time, try to feel, where does it tingle in your mouth? Where does that air start to kind of like tingle against your mouth? So, I would say mine is like right above my tongue, like the top of my tongue and the roof of my mouth. That's kind of where I'm feeling the vibration space. Now try to go from ah to ang and see where that vibration space moves. Okay, now it's in the back of my mouth right there. So that's number 5 is vibration space. Where you choose to vibrate that, where you try to move that vibration space, maybe it's in the front, like you're just gonna have the air and the vibration space right up here. That's another thing that you can play with. That's another dimension. So then, if you combine all of those things, you can make some pretty crazy voices. So I'm gonna go high pitch, low volume, low air, and smiley mouth. So high pitch,
low volume, and a little bit of air, and then I'm gonna do a smiley mouth. So okay, and the vibration space I would say is right about here. So this is a voice.
You can do low pitch. It helps to get your body into it too, right? So if you're trying to do maybe like a gorilla or an orangutan, try to like live in that body, and maybe this is a gorilla, and I just like to talk like this. Okay, cool. Let's see. I don't know. Any suggestions for different types of voices? There's a little bit of a delay, so I'll have to wait.
But maybe
Kermit the Frog is, this is a voice that people do, and Kermit the Frog, his vibration space is kind of where the tonsils are, right back there, and he also says a lot, and closes up his throat just a little hair so that it has this kind of feeling here. So Kermit the Frog here, reporting live.
Cool. Alrighty. We're gonna sing a song. This is a song that we've been listening to a lot in this household. And I'm gonna try to do Ernie. Ernie is actually a really hard voice because it's very subtle. Kermit is like, oh, I'm Kermit there. But Ernie he's very earnest. He has a slight smile, I would say, as far as mouth shape. The vibration space is kind of right where the air from your nose meets the back of your mouth. It's kind of back there. So let's give this a shot. Here we go.
Well, I'd like to visit the moon on a rocket ship high in the air. Yes, I'd like to visit the moon, but I don't think I'd like to live there. Though I'd like to look down at the earth from above, I would miss all the places and people I love. So although I might like it for one afternoon, I don't want to live on the moon. I'd like to travel under the sea. I could meet all the fish everywhere. Yes, I'd travel under the sea, but I don't think I'd like to live there. I might stay for a day there if I had my wish, but there's not much to do when your friends are all fish, and an oyster and clam aren't real family. So I don't want to live in the sea. I'd like to visit the jungle, hear the lions roar, Go back in time and meet a dinosaur. There's so many strange places I'd like to be, but none of them permanently. So if I should visit the moon, well, I'll dance on a moonbeam and then I'll make a wish on a star, and I'll wish I was home once again. Though I'd like to look down at the earth from above, I would miss all the places and people I love. So although I may go, I'll be coming home soon. 'Cause I don't want to live on the moon. No, I don't wanna live on the moon.
Yeah, living on the moon would be pretty terrible. It'd be very dry. Water would be an issue. You'd have a great view. Cheap real estate, probably. Like I said, you gotta get there. All right, here we go. Moving on. Let's see. Oh, I got some crackles. And the crackles are gone. Tom, good to have you here. Brenda, hi. Self-care for me is daily journaling and meditating. Yes. Also, sometimes taking news holidays or no phone computer days. Yes. The world will go on without you, whether you like it or not. All right. Please support this program at Venmo or PayPal. There's a pinned comment so that you can contribute generously, whatever that means to you, so that we can keep this program going. All right, I am very excited to welcome Martha Grover to Cup of Joe. Martha's work, I actually just discovered her at Tender Loving Empire in Portland, Oregon. I was rifling through the books and I found one of her books, The End of My Career, and there's a little snippet in there about male privilege that was just, and it was so good. Yeah, I encourage you to check out The End of My Career by Martha Grover. But you don't have to right now because we have Martha Grover live. Everyone give a round of applause for Martha Grover. Hey, Martha.
Good morning. Thanks for having me.
My dear, there I spend my days in conversation. Okay, wait. I have to, headphones in. How's it going?
Good. How are
I'm
you?
doing great.
Thanks for having me.
Oh man, thanks for being on. It's such a Portland discovery thing here. I'm also like fixing your window while I'm doing this, but it's such a Portland way to discover someone's art. Like, I was in Tender Loving Empire on Hawthorne.
Yeah, totally. Well, you could have been at the Zine Symposium. I always say that that's like the quintessential Portland experience. However, sadly, it can't happen this year. It's happening virtually this weekend, actually. I'm going to be doing a reading tomorrow on Zoom, and you can check it. There's a Facebook event. So there's a bunch of Facebook events and virtual events happening. But the Portland Zine Symposium happens every year, and that's how I got my start writing. People sell zines. It's like very Portland, really, really awesome.
Nice.
So hopefully we can do it next year in live, you know.
Very cool. So if people search Portland Zine Symposium on the socials and online, they'll be able to find it.
Yeah, totally. They can find it.
Great.
Yeah.
Sick. Okay. So yes, Portland-based author, memoirist, and a finalist for the Oregon Book Awards. Martha, how do you identify yourself?
I identify myself as a member of a very large family. I have 6 sisters and 1 brother. I identify myself as an Oregonian. I'm a 5th generation Oregonian. Portlander, Corbett. I grew up in a very small town in Oregon called Corbett in the Columbia River Gorge. Yeah, so that's how I identify myself.
Nice.
For sure.
And then this is something that I ask everyone that's been on the show so far and continue and will continue to ask, which is your earliest memory. If you, do you have an earliest memory that you would like to share with us?
I don't know if it was the earliest. I have a lot of like jumbled up
Mm.
memories. Until I was 6, I lived in the Mount Tabor neighborhood,
Mm.
kind of Montevilla, 78th and
Mm.
Taylor. And it was totally a family neighborhood. Like at that point, like east of 39th, well, it's now Cesar
Mm.
Chavez, was like no man's land. It's kind of how people think of like east of 82nd now, but it used to be 39th.
Oh man.
Um, so I'm really old school because I still call it 39th, but people like correct me. It's Cesar Chavez. But I lived in this neighborhood with all these families. It was like the Bilsteins on one
Huh.
corner, the Scotts on
Mm.
another, the Youngs. I had a crush on Adam Young because he would run around with his shirt
Oh,
off. And
Adam.
I remember his parents let him play with swords. That's my memory anyway,
Oh.
that they had like swords. And there was just a lot of kids running around the neighborhood.
Mm.
And I remember someone had Star Wars trading cards, and that was really cool. So we're like looking at them, and someone started saying that Chewbacca was my boyfriend, and everyone's like, Chewbacca's your boyfriend.
I mean, there are worse
Anyway, so
boyfriends
that's
to
one of my
have.
earliest
To be
memories.
fair, you know,
Yeah.
I'm sure he's on the conditioner game for sure. Yeah, and then he's like tall and he'll rip out people's arms if they mess with you, you
Right, exactly.
know.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love how your memory is really. It's like you must be a writer. It's like a painting, you know. Like people are like, oh, here's this like thing that happened, but instead, I think you kind of painted an environment for us, and yeah, it took me back to my childhood growing up in Seattle, and you know, I was living in like a townhouse complex with a lot of kids, so we played
Yeah.
baseball. You know, we had like bike races, and just there was this. We practiced community.
Right.
Yeah, because of the
Yeah.
kids.
Yep. Totally.
Speaking of kids, urine feature. Did you like that? Yeah, I pride myself on my transitions. Yes. Yeah, if you would like to introduce this collaboration, then we'll launch into it.
Sure. So I'm going to read something, a short piece from my first book called One More for the People. So this is the book you mentioned, End of My Career. So I've written 2. And the first book, One More for the People, really deals a lot more with when I was diagnosed with Cushing's disease when I was 28. And the piece I'm going to read is about I moved to San Francisco to go to grad school, like kind of in the middle of all this turmoil in my life. And I had to fly back to San Francisco once a month, or back to Portland once a month from San Francisco because I was participating in an experimental drug study. They were trying to find a cure for the Cushing's disease. And I had to fly back once a month with jugs of my own urine as part of this drug study.
Yum.
So do you want me to begin?
Yeah, let's do it.
Shall I begin?
Let's do it.
Okay. This is called Visual Check. For this visit back home, I'm traveling with 2 jugs of my own urine. At 10:30 p.m. at the San Francisco airport, I scoot my duffel bag along the ground with my foot. My arms are occupied with my jacket, my purse, my boarding pass, my ID, and a note from OHSU stating that I am a drug trial patient whose carry-on baggage consists of small, unmarked vials of medication and large jugs of urine. The note states that these items are medically necessary and are not bomb-making materials such as Axe body spray, holy water, or toothpaste. As I approach the gates, the sound of the gray plastic bins being thrown onto the conveyor belt grows more and more percussive. Up ahead, people are bending over to remove their shoes and placing their belongings on the conveyor belt that leads into the X-ray machine. Now it's my turn. The line that was moving too slow just moments ago is now moving too fast. I hurriedly yank off my shoes and throw my purse, jacket, and duffel bag onto the conveyor belt. I hold on to my ID and the note from OHSU. If they give me any shit, I tell myself, I have the note explaining everything. The man on the other side of the metal detector motions me through. I obey, and the alarm goes off. Do you have anything under that? He asks, pointing at my black sweatshirt. Just my bra, I say, thinking he means anything metal. He sighs and motions me into a 4 by 4 foot area bordered with the zip pull cables that divide up most of the airport. A couple more people set up the alarm, and suddenly I'm standing with 3 other confused travelers inside the rope, all of us clutching something: an ID, a wallet, a jacket. Whose bag is this? A young security officer is holding up my teal duffel bag. It's urine for a drug trial, I say. I have a note. I hold up the folded piece of computer paper. Follow me, the young man says. He points to a glass box with a door on the either end. Step in here. You will fill 3 blasts of air. After the 3rd blast, wait until the light turns green and walk out. Meet me at the table. He points to his stainless steel table. Somehow, my duffel bag is already on the table, and an older man wearing blue latex gloves is waiting for me. I do as I'm told. After the light turns green, I sit on a flimsy office chair, shoeless, still holding my doctor's note. The 2 men stand on the other side of the table with their hands behind their backs. Ask her what's in the bag, says the older man. What's in the bag, says the younger security officer. It's 2 jugs of urine for a drug trial at OHSU, I say. It has to be refrigerated. I have a doctor's note. I try to show him the note. The old man waves my hand away with a dismissive frown. He mumbles something in the young man's ear. The younger security officer opens up my bag and digs out the green cooler with my urine in it. From somewhere, he produces a white square of paper. Or is it cloth? I can't tell. He takes the white square and runs it along the seam of the zipper. His hands are shaking. I realize this must be a training, so I just sit there trying to appear non-threatening. Neither of them are looking at me anyway. I want to ask what the white cloth is, but decide against it. I listen to the thudding of the plastic bins. The machine hasn't skipped a beat. Travelers keep streaming by. The whole apparatus keeps beeping and sludging along. The white cloth disappears just as quickly as it appeared. Do a visual check, says the old man. What? Visual check, he says. The young security officer unzips the collapsible cooler with his shaky hands and ever so slightly peeks inside. The older man scrambles to get a view of the 2 opaque jugs of my urine. I'm getting slightly annoyed now. I went through all the trouble to make sure my urine was nice and cold for the lab, and here they are leaking all that cold air out into the sweaty San Francisco airport. The old man smiles and looks at me for the first time. Well, I've seen blood and a lot of other stuff, but never urine. And then, as if by magic, they're gone. They don't even bother to zip up my bag. I stand and look around. With the note still in my hand, I find my shoes and purse, then cram the cooler back into my duffel bag and make my way to the gate.
Yes. I feel like I had to really embrace my inner Looney Tunes. To add to that. Nice. To urine.
Urine.
So yeah, was it successful? Was the drug trial successful? Like, was it worth bringing all that urine?
Well, it wasn't worth it for me. The drug trial didn't work. I ended up having to get my adrenal glands taken out to cure me. So it was pretty heartbreaking when that didn't work. But for the sake of medicine, I think it's important to do those kind of things because I probably helped someone else. It just, the drug didn't work for me.
Right.
So,
right.
yeah.
And yeah. It's a lot of, I guess, yeah, it's sacrifice to make knowledge happen, I guess.
Right.
Yeah.
People don't, unless you go through one of those yourself, or you're like someone that does it for money, like people that actually volunteer to be part of these drug trials for money.
Right.
You don't really think about how you get the medicines that you take, like how those drugs come to be. It's because of people like me and other people, that volunteer their time or get paid.
So how are you feeling now? How is, yeah.
Well, I have multiple chronic illnesses, so my normal is definitely not normal. I had a brain surgery in March, which I think you may know. So that was successful. So that's good. I just got my results. So that was successful. It
Yay.
took a while to like my body to like rebalance itself out. But right. So now I am focusing on dealing with my chronic pain, which I think I've kind of like neglected to address that. But I'm trying to work on changing my lifestyle so that I'm not in so much pain all the time.
How does and does
So.
yeah? So how does creativity? You know, obviously you write about pain. You write about a lot of different things. But I'm curious, since the theme is wellness, what is that intersection like for you as far as, you know, health and wellness versus and as well as creativity?
Well, something that I was thinking about when I found out that the theme would be wellness was like, how do I even define wellness? How do I define health, especially as someone with a chronic illness? And I read this book a couple years ago. It was called The Mirage of Health. And it really kind of blew my mind and helped me a lot. And basically, the thesis of the book is that because we are constantly evolving, all creatures on Earth, we are never really healthy. We have this idea that like health is a state that we can get to. But because we are always evolving and our environment is always changing, we are always one step behind what our environment requires. Right? And you can think about that in terms of physical health and mental health. So we evolved to always have a tribe around us of our family, community, but all, you know, especially in this time when so many people are isolated. You know, what does that mean? What does health mean when our environment doesn't match up with what our body and our mind requires for health, right? And so, so that really helped me be at peace with the fact that I can't, because especially as like a chronically ill person, people are always giving you advice, like unsolicited advice. You know, like, have you tried acupuncture?
Drink more water.
Have you tried drink more water? Have you done yoga? And it's just like, So I think what it boils down to me is like everyone's doing the best they can, and we're never going to be perfect. And like once you solve one problem, it usually like creates another problem. You know, and so just like doing the best you can, I think, you know.
Yeah. Well, so what about writing? Like,
yourself a little mercy. What
about writing? Like, how does that factor? Does that factor into it, or do you feel like those are separate lanes? Or
I mean, I've written a lot about my health as a memoirist and about illness and that experience and our health system and capitalism and how that comes into it. I think that, you know, as far as my mental health, I do a lot better when I'm creating. That's just very simple answer. It's like, yeah, it feels good. You know, as part of who I am. And when I'm not creating in a deep way, you know, I can feel that. I crave that, you know, and that's really getting into that flow state, you know, where you just lose sense of time and you're just like in it, and like you like look up and you're like, oh shit, I gotta leave, you know, or I'm gonna be sorry. I'm gonna be late, you know, if I don't get up. So and that feels good.
Right.
So it's not necessarily congruent with like real life though. You know what I mean? Right. But that's just the way it goes.
And that's the beauty of it, is that it doesn't have to be congruent with real life, right? I mean, kind of like you're saying, when you're in that flow state, you're in like a different dimension, you know?
Yeah. Totally.
So all the people that are viewing out there, and I hope that they create something from this, you know? Cool. You're writing a fantasy novel about magic dogs.
Yes. You want me to tell you about it?
You don't have to. That was just a statement of fact.
I am. With so much time alone, and so much time to reflect, I kind of got back to my roots because I loved all that stuff when I was a kid. You know, like the Narnian Chronicles, The Hobbit, Alice in Wonderland, you know, all that kind of stuff. And I watched, it was funny how it kind of came about. I watched this really terrible series on Netflix called The Witcher.
Okay.
Have you seen it? I didn't know it was based on a video game until after someone told me that, after I'd watched it. And I just thought, there's a lot of, I finished the whole thing, but the whole time I was thinking, this is super cheesy. And I thought, well, what would you do, Miss Smarty Pants, if you were going to write something, like a fantasy series? And so then I started thinking of this character. Who would the character be? What would she be like? What would her magic powers be? And I just moved in with my parents since I had my brain surgery, and it kind of took over care of their dog, Birdie. And now he's like my dog. And I was like, what? And I've taught him how to open my door. I've taught him how to bring me my shoes. I draw like a daily inspirational tarot card every day, and I have him like choose it for me. So I'm teaching him all these tricks. Yeah. How to clean my toilet, my bathroom. Right. So I've been teaching all these things, and I thought, well, what if this person had like a magic dog? And so the story just developed from there, So now it's become completely intricate. I've written like about a third of it, like 30,000 pages, 30,000 words. Man. And I think it's probably going to be around 100,000 words long. So
amazing.
Yeah.
Patreon.com/Martha Grover.
Yeah.
That's where you can keep up to date with everything that Martha's doing. She's also on all the socials, Instagram, Facebook, @Martha Grover. And of course her zine, Somnambulist Zine. Please check those out. Martha, thank you so much for being on.
Thanks, Joe. It was fun.
Yeah, maybe we'll grab a cup of coffee, like in actual face-to-face afterwards.
That would be awesome.
All right.
Thank you.
Peace. See you soon.
Bye.
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 All right. Okay. Buy local. Every week I plug one local place that I can't live without. Today it's Kogi. It's spelled K-K-O-K-I. It's a restaurant here in Portland, Oregon. I crave Korean food. I mean, obviously I grew up with it, and there are just times for my spiritual well-being when I just need a steaming, hot, spicy tofu stew. And Kogi, if you're on the east side here and not in Beaverton where there are a plethora of choices, then Kogi, K-K-O-K-I, is a good place to do it. And you can have them deliver. They're on Caviar or Grubhub or one of those things. So please check them out. Okay. Becca Flora asked for this cover. It's a cover that I've done in the past. It's called I Will Survive, which I thought was a pretty apt thing to do considering the theme today. So for everyone out there surviving, blessings to you. Here, close this. Bada bing. All right, here we go. So many nights just thinking how you did me wrong, and I grew strong, and I learned how to get along, and so you're back from outer space,
I just walked in to find you here with that sad look upon your face. I should have changed that stupid lock. I should have made you leave your key. If I'd have known for just 1 second you'd be back to bother me. Oh, now go, walk out the door. Just turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to hurt me with desire? Did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, not I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to live, I've got all my love to give. I'll survive, I will survive. Hey, hey. It took all the strength I had not to fall apart. Kept trying hard to mend the pieces of my broken heart. But then you felt like dropping in and just expect me to be free. Now I'm saving all my loving for someone who's loving me. Oh, now go, walk out the door. Just turn around now, 'cause you're not welcome anymore. Weren't you the one who tried to hurt me with this desire? Did you think I'd crumble? Did you think I'd lay down and die? Oh no, 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 I will survive. Oh, as long as I know how to love, I know I'll stay alive. I've got all my life to live, I've got all my love to give. I'll survive, I will survive. Hey, hey. Yeah. That puts me in a good mood. That's one of my mom's favorite songs. I remember blasting that on repeat. All right, share a cup of Joe, please. If you know someone else that you think will enjoy the show, tag them here. Next week, make sure that you share as well. Next week, speaking of, we have Lisa Lim, who, aka Big Violin Player, who is a cellist-looper based in Seoul, South Korea. I met her on Instagram. We did a couple of collaborations, and I'm really excited, slightly nervous to get back to my roots and have that conversation with her in a mixture of English and Korean. So please tune in. Support. Venmo at Joe Kye, PayPal Joe at joekye.com. It does come up as Hyun, Hyon, which is my middle name. Please support generously so that I can make this program continue on. Blessings to you all. We're going to take it out with a dance party.
Dance party. What am I going to do? What am I going to do? That's what we're going to do.
Time for the dance party.
on, everybody clap your hands and